So Dave asked me, how do we deliver self-service? The real question before you start that is actually, why are you delivering self-service? Because the ability to deliver self-service has been around for an awful long time, but all of a sudden now it's in everyone's agenda. And it's mainly around these kind of headlines. You guys are probably all aware of this. You've been talked about it this morning, all about the deficit, all about the black hole that's coming up. I think this graph kind of highlights it the most stark. Business as usual is not going to be enough. The old salami slicing is not what you guys need to do anymore. It's a radical change to the way you deliver services. And the great thing about that is digital will actually enable you to get that radical change. It won't give it to you, but it will enable the possibility that you can actually radically change. And you guys are obviously aware of this. Today we released a survey asking you about what you're doing. And one of the things that we discovered is that these kind of priorities are all of a sudden at the top table. They become strategic imperatives to the organisation. So here you can see we've pulled out 4 where people are spending hundreds of thousands and sometimes millions of pounds because they're hoping to save hundreds of millions of pounds. So all of a sudden it's a strategic imperative for the organisation, which means it gets an awful lot of focus. It's no longer sort of pushed away to the web team or pushed away to the comms team or pushed away to self-service. It's a strategic imperative for the entire organisation, and we think that's a great thing. And it has to be, because currently what we're seeing today is that you guys are, the self-service that you're currently running at is probably below 25%. So again, I think we've got 300 organisations that we questioned over the last couple of weeks about how far through the self-service journey you are. And as you can see, it's fairly low at the moment. However, ask what's going to change in the next 3 years, the aspiration is going to be dramatically different. And that's a big, big change that you guys are going to have to go through. And also you're going to have to try and take the citizens with you on that journey. And that's the biggest thing, really, is how are you going to take everybody on that journey? So what people often start with is the actual user experience. There's a big built-up latent demand for people wanting to self-serve. We've seen that in the commercial sector. It's already happening around the citizens that you deal with. And what they need is a clear and easy-to-use interface. They want to be kept informed all the way through the process. If you deliver a self-service without that constant contact, constant interaction, you're going to fail. People are going to get disconnected. They're not going to not understand what's going on. They're going to immediately pick up the phone. They're going to fall back to other channels, and they're not going to be able to deliver self-service. It's that classic sort of problem in the bagging area. First thing I need to do is pull somebody over to help me out. The other thing that you need to do is make sure that you can't dictate to them what they're going to use and how they're going to use it. So it needs to be able to work on any device, work any part of the day in any format. So if you want to find out information about what's going on, you can't rely on somebody being in the office when that's going to happen, because that's not going to be the case. Because most of the transactions happen late in the night, and we've seen that from all of our private sector clients. Now, one of the problems or one of the opportunities with this is the fact that getting it right, as mentioned this morning, you're actually going to drive a lot more traffic. If you put up a great user experience, if you actually manage to achieve all these things, you're actually going to increase the demand on your services. So one of the things you fundamentally have to do before you start looking at the user experience is make sure the organizational experience is correct. And basically that comes down to the organizational challenge. Because if you're putting an awful lot more demand into a broken service, you are not going to save yourselves any money at all. You're going to be pushing up that cost of that demand an awful lot. So you need to make sure that your organizations have got complete buy-in to this, because it's going to break down a lot of silos in the organization. You're going to have data flowing across the business. And where you've got back-end systems that don't necessarily communicate, you're going to have to make sure they're communicating together. And also, you're going to have people completely redesigning their processes that they've relied on for years and years and years. And you're going to have to challenge every single part of that process and say, why do we have to send them a bit of paper? Why do we need a signature? So you constantly challenge all of the time, every single part of that process. And only then, really, does it come to the technology stage. Again, a lot of people might try and say, hey, we've got a great UI, we've got a great experience. But if all that sort of form that you're getting to, that great experience, is just turning into an email, so you're filling a form out, that data's collected, and then it's just emailed to somebody, then again, that's not going to actually improve your productivity. It's not going to improve your efficiency. The citizen is not going to be kept up to date about what's going on, because it will just be sat in somebody's email queue. And the only thing they'll do after that is they'll probably send in another email to find out what happened to the form they filled out. Or they might phone up. And all that happens is the person at the end of this email queue is just going to get bombarded. You know, again, you're not driving efficiency, you're not making the savings that you're expecting to make. The other thing that we're seeing an awful lot is people actually using point solutions. They're saying, oh, I've got a system over here, it's got a web platform, great, let's just stand that up because that just fixes that problem really easy. Oh, we've got another system over here, hey, that's got a web top, let's put that up in place. The citizen won't really care. In fact, they're jumping from one URL to another URL. They're having to log in system A, log in system B, update data in system C, coming back to system D. It's not going to work. It's basically sort of, you know, it's papering over the cracks. It's putting lipstick on a pig. It's not a great user experience for the citizens, and it'd be even worse experience for you guys because you all have data in all sorts of different systems. You can't make that savings because you've got all these different systems you're trying to coordinate. So you can't sort of do that joined up thinking that you really want to be looking at. Excuse me. So when you're looking at delivering a self-service platform, it isn't just about the website. It isn't just about the user experience. It isn't just about the homepage. Hey, look at our homepage. Isn't it whizzy and bangy? And doesn't it work great on tablets? It has to go right down into the individual processes. And all of those processes have to be mobile enabled because you'll be seeing a majority of your traffic, people using it on mobile phones. So again, it's all very well having a responsive website, but if you don't have a responsive process, then you're fundamentally failing that whole approach to self-service. It really is about that right the way down, right the way through the processes. The great thing about it, though, is if you get all those components correctly, it is actually a virtuous circle. They do reinforce each other, so all those three challenges become a reinforcing agent. So you can invest in your self-service platform. Because you've invested in it, you will actually get much more online transactions. If somebody actually completes a transaction online, they will come back because it's the preferred mechanism. I think we've seen that in the private sector an awful lot. It is the preferred choice because it just works and it is simple. The great thing about that then is it actually reduces all the admin. We're seeing an awful lot of contacts and calls are actually just avoidable calls. What's happening to this? I filled this form in, I sent you an email. I'm basically just chasing up what's going on. If your self-service platform will respond to you in real time, you know what's going on, therefore you won't get all those extra calls. That means you can actually focus on the actual tasks at hand. You can focus on the edge cases, which actually will need time, will need effort to complete. And the great thing about that means it accelerates things like revenue collection and reduces costs. So it puts budget back into your pocket, which you can then use to reinforce and you can then use at looking at bumping up your sort of self-service. So one of the great aspirations is you can look at some of the low-hanging fruit, get that success story, get that sort of revenue pot coming back to you, which you can then work on the harder, more challenging problems. But the thing is, you need to do both. And I think the great thing is about you can't achieve one without the other. So by being able to provide a better service online, you can actually make greater savings. Because you can make greater savings, you can make better services online. It really is that sort of virtuous circle. So you need to start making sure that the efficiency is built in first, then provide that great service online, and then rinse and repeat and improve the system over time.